At exactly 3:29 a.m., my phone lit up like a warning flare. Grainy black and white footage, my side gate, and there she was. HOA President Karen Rowland, arms folded, chin tilted like she owned the night itself. Two maintenance workers stood behind her. One held a bolt cutter, the other clutched a clipboard that shook in the wind. Karen didn't knock, didn't hesitate. She issued commands. If he doesn't open it, she said coldly, we proceed under emergency authority. Emergency authority. At 3:29 in the morning, over a strip of land she didn't own, she thought the darkness would protect her, that no one would question a woman who weaponized a clipboard like a sword. She believed Maple Ridge belonged to her, not legally, but psychologically. What she didn't know? I was watching, and I had already called the police. The bolt cutter lifted, the cruiser lights hit, and in that blinding red and blue wash, the smirk slid off Karen's face like wet paint. That wasn't confusion in her eyes. It was the exact moment she realized she might have gone too far. I'm Dylan Parker. I've lived in Maple Ridge for 2 years. Long enough to understand one thing. The grass here is trimmed to perfection. The hedges are measured, and the HOA is louder than common sense. But even I didn't expect Karen, the self-appointed war general of suburban compliance, to declare my private side yard an emergency access corridor. She called it temporary. She called it necessary. She called it community safety. What she really meant was control, and she had no idea she just started a war she couldn't win. By sunrise, the humiliation from that police encounter should have slowed her down. It didn't. It made her vicious. A fluorescent orange sign appeared zip-tied to my fence. Emergency access route. Do not block. No vote. No approval. No legal standing. Just Karen rewriting reality in bold letters. Neighbors slowed their morning walks to stare at my house like I'd personally endangered their children. At the park, whispers spread. By afternoon, the HOA inbox detonated with carefully worded emails about certain homeowners obstructing safety measures. She never said my name. She didn't need to. Then came lines, non-compliance, obstruction, hostile conduct toward board representatives. Hostile. Because I refused to let her carve a public walkway through my property. Karen escalated socially next. Flyers posted on community boards, maintenance trucks idling outside my gate at random hours, clipboards, notes, photos. Intimidation disguised as procedure, and then she made her biggest mistake. An email sent to the entire neighborhood. Subject line, Community Emergency Action Plan. Attached was a map. My yard highlighted in red. What she didn't realize? She accidentally forwarded the city's previous denial letter, buried in the thread, stating the rear access expansion was rejected twice for violating private property law. She thought she was exposing me. Instead, she exposed herself. The screenshots spread faster than gossip, and this time the neighborhood wasn't whispering about me. They were whispering about Karen. If you're enjoying this, hit like, share, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Karen didn't retreat after the email disaster. She doubled down. A final notice before entry slid under my door, unsigned, poorly formatted, my last name misspelled. It claimed HOA workers would enter my property within 72 hours for a safety assessment. No statute cited, no court order, just arrogance in Times New Roman. I forwarded everything to my attorney. His reply came in minutes. They cannot enter. Document everything. If they try, call the police. Simple, clean, final. Karen, however, mistook desperation for strategy. Then came the message that changed everything. Entry scheduled between 3 to 4 a.m. to avoid disturbing residents. Avoid disturbing residents. Not avoid breaking the law. Not avoid trespassing. Avoid witnesses. She thought stealth would make her powerful. Instead, it made her reckless. So I adjusted one camera directly at the gate, charged my phone, left the porch light off, and at 3:29 a.m. the alert chimed. There she stood again, hair pinned back, jaw tight, eyes burning with something uglier than authority. Cut it, she ordered. The maintenance worker hesitated. Are we sure? I don't need your opinion. The bolt cutter rose. I dialed 911. This time there would be no warning emails, no boardroom debates, no whisper campaigns, just flashing lights. And a woman who believed she ruled Maple Ridge, about to discover she didn't even rule her own consequences. The police cruiser didn't rush in. It rolled in slowly, deliberately. Headlights washed over Karen like a spotlight exposing an amateur on opening night. The bolt cutter slipped from the worker's hand and clanged against the pavement. Ma'am, the officer said calmly, eyeing the tool. What exactly are you doing here? Karen straightened. Chin high. Voice rehearsed. We're conducting an HOA mandated safety entry. At 3:30 in the morning, silence. Do you have a court order? Her jaw tightened. The board authorizes this. The board doesn't override private property law. That sentence hit harder than handcuffs ever could. I stepped onto the porch. Do you consent to entry? The officer asked. No, he nodded once. Then they need to leave. Across the street, porch lights flicked on. Phones came out. Mark stood there in pajama pants, recording everything. Windows cracked open. Witnesses multiplied. Karen tried to argue, but authority without legality sounds like panic. She wasn't arrested. She didn't need to be. The humiliation was surgical. The next day, the emergency HOA meeting was packed. The footage played on a loop. Karen at my gate, ordering a break-in. Gasps, murmurs, then outrage. Board members admitted they'd never approved the plan. The city denial letter surfaced again. The vote to remove her was swift, unanimous. Karen left without a word. No speech, no defense. Just heels clicking down the hallway like a dethroned monarch who finally realized the crown was cardboard. And just like that, the most feared woman in Maple Ridge lost everything she thought she controlled. If this story opened your eyes, hit like, share, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Because sometimes the loudest power falls the hardest. And sometimes 3:29 a.m. is the exact minute justice wakes up.